Thanks for staying with us right here on Sunrise as we continue this Human Rights Day. Now, it's been over 20 years since the dawn of democracy in South Africa. Now, the 21st of March in the country is marked as Human Rights Day with the purpose of commemorating the Sharpeville Massacre that happened in 1960. Now, this morning we take a look at how is South Africa dealing with human rights. To talk more about that, we are now joined in studio by Gushwell Brooks from the South African Human Rights Commission. And remember, you can be part of our conversation by giving us a call on 011-447-1742 or 447-2570. Comments are also welcome on our Facebook and Twitter pages. All right, Gushwell, thanks very much for joining us.
Morning.
Democracy down the line. Every year, we've been asking ourselves this question over and over again. Human Rights Day, 21st of March. How should we exactly go about this day? What should we remember about this day?
Well, I think it's a very significant day. In fact, it should be, it is remembered as historically the worst massacre in the history of South Africa, under apartheid especially. 69 people died on this day in 1960 in Sharpeville. And those were people that were protesting the past laws that were in place at the time. And the reason why it's Human Rights Day is because those past laws or those passes represented something grotesque. It stripped people of their dignity, it stripped people of their equality and other basic rights that they were entitled to. And these people merely marched, demonstrated, and the police opened fire on them at the time. And 69 of them, women, men, and children, a lot of them shot in the back, were killed on this particular day. So yes, it is a day of great significance, and it represents a struggle for our equality and for our human rights overall.
Now, what should we make of it, in 2018, when we look back, but at the same time be able to sort of like look ahead in what the country represents? In recent times, we've seen all sorts of violations around human rights, and we've seen South Africans really question themselves: what are my basic human rights, and come to an understanding. We hope for those, and then we've seen some being violated from all quarters of society. What should we be making?
So, in as much as it's a day of remembrance and commemoration, especially looking at the history that came. I think what we need to look at is the present and the future as well. We have a constitution in place, and those people died literally for the rights that we have today, outlined in Chapter 2 of the Constitution or the Bill of Rights. And it is an indictment if we're not aware of our rights and we don't educate ourselves. And I always say to, and this is the view of the Commission as well, Chapter 2 of the Constitution is the easiest document that or legal document you'll ever get to read in your life, because it outlines what your rights are. Whether it be your right to equality, dignity, or any of the other rights that we can talk about, they're all outlined there in no uncertain terms. So it's our responsibility to become aware of that so that we can protect our rights, so we can go to institutions like the South African Human Rights Commission, many of the other Chapter 9 bodies that we have, to be able to assert those rights.
We also are taking your calls for you to be part of this conversation on 011-447-1742 or 011-447-2570. From the Human Rights Commission's point of view, in recent times, what have you seen South Africans coming to you to say, my rights have been violated in this way, my rights have been violated in this way? And when you gauge at that, what is the overarching thoughts from the Commission?
So we have a report that we release annually called the Trends Analysis Report. And what the Trends Analysis Report looks at is the types of complaints that people are bringing to the Commission. And 24 years into democracy, it is still a bit shocking to see that the highest number of complaints that are received by the South African Human Rights Commission is on the basis of equality. Now, equality is, or the Equality Clause is Section 9 of the Constitution, and you have equality on the basis of numerous categories, including race, sex, gender, sexual orientation, religion, and and the list continues. And the category that we find the highest number of complaints on is still race. At least that is on the basis of our 2015-2016 Trends Analysis Report. So what we find is that out of 749 complaints based on equality, 505 of them are based on race.
And what does it sort of like gives us an understanding of what's going on in our country, that race issues are still a challenge, and issues of inequality obviously is still a big problem?
So two things I think we can draw from that is that people are more aware of what their rights are. They're able to approach bodies like the South African Human Rights Commission and actually assert their rights and protect themselves. Well, and number two is the fact that we still have an underlying concern and issue with race. which means that there is still a greater focus in that, in that space. And you can't necessarily just legislate it away. I mean, it's also our social compact and how do we interact with each other and how do we get to understand each other as fellow South Africans.
Okay, so someone will ask, we have children have a right to education, for example, in a case that we're facing with children falling in pit toilets. Where does that fit in violation of human rights?
Look, there's a couple of violations there, or on the surface of it. Then the South African Human Rights Commission is actually specifically looking into that case. The specific case in question, the one out of the Eastern Cape, we had the tragic death of a 5-year-old who again drowned in a pit toilet. This is not the first time that we've had this situation, which is an indictment actually. Both on us as a nation, government, what have we done to fix the situation? We're looking at the right to dignity. I mean, it's not dignified at all to have someone use a pit latrine, on an ongoing basis. And we understand that many of the rights, especially socio-economic rights, are realizable over time. You can't sort of overnight magically wave a wand and put everyone in a decent home, make everyone take away poverty, then sort of wish away pit latrines. But in as much as these are gradually realizable rights, we need action, and we need action very quickly. The other aspect is also water and sanitation. I mean, it can't be healthy living under those conditions whatsoever, despite, the drowning, I think, is an obvious situation, but what about the waterborne diseases and other types of things in that space? And also the right to education. I mean, what we understand is also that the vast majority of many children, especially girl children, stay out of school as a result of those conditions, at least once a month. And, for a week at a time a month. So a lot of them are missing out on 25% of their education, which has a significant impact on them. We can't possibly say that they have, that their right to education is being sufficiently realized when there are conditions at school that prevent them from being able to go to school and enjoy their education.
What would you say at the level of ordinary South Africans, community level, people who are not necessarily part of organized movements and things like that, how are they being empowered maybe by the Human Rights Commission or other entities so that they understand and are able to protect and advocate for some of these rights?
I mean, that's an excellent question. Look, we approximately 180 people throughout the country. We have 9 provincial offices, and then obviously the head office, which looks at a national level. And out of us, all of those offices, there's only 180 people servicing 55 million South Africans. So obviously the biggest ally that we have in this instance is the South African Human Rights Commission in promoting, protecting, as well as monitoring human rights. Is of course ordinary South Africans. And those are community-based movements. Those are people, ordinary people that are living in their communities and have an interest in these issues and should be interested in these issues. So we have a broad advocacy network across the country where we're actually training people in understanding and asserting their rights, and then in turn they go ahead and they train and and assist people in asserting their rights.
Would you say that you've seen a sort of an increase of an appetite of increase in the interest of doing that in recent years? Because you've seen a lot of cases coming forth, and with social media, you've always found there's a comments, people feeling a certain way, and then the Human Rights Commission come and say, actually, that's not how the matter is. Would you say there's interest to sort of more learn before we actually wait for incidents to happen and then come and interact with the Commission?
Yeah, both ways. I think it goes both ways, and that there's obviously a lot of commentary that occurs in the social media space, as you're very much aware. And I think we also need to look at who those social media users are and what their perspectives are. A lot of the time they have a particular political view or a view of the world. And no matter what you say, it doesn't necessarily influence that particular view. But I mean, at the same time, I think what it highlights is that it provides for public debate and a public discourse on these issues. And then obviously, as we're growing and as time goes, we'll be able to have that conversation a little more, because as you know, social media has a massive impact on everything that we do.
All right, okay, so we got some comments this morning on Facebook. In your opinion, do you think South Africans have progressed since apartheid? Do they still carry the past with them? How can we evolve from this? And this is in commemoration, obviously, of Human Rights Day. And these are some of the comments that people are saying. Christoph saying, the truth is South Africa is still poor and their lives doesn't matter compared to the lives of the politicians. Civil servants have twisted their title. Most of them do not serve serve the nation with pride. Instead, they want to accumulate more through corruption, failing to do the basic, which is to serve the people. Prosper saying people want change. I tell you, let's not go too far. What happened yesterday with the journalist and the guy from the EFF, you can't change people's behavior, even if cows and goats sleep in the same crowd, but in the morning they go different directions. Another one, no, South Africa is still in the position, just in a different angle. Only politicians and their friends progress. The poor people are still poor, even though they are the one voting. Your thoughts on some of these comments?
I think it's, if there is a basic duty that all of us have as South Africans, with especially taking into consideration a date like today, whereby we remember the sacrifices of those that have come before us. And a lot of them didn't sacrifice liberty. They didn't sacrifice, property and things that one can easily part with and sort of make up time for.
It's their lives. That's all they had.
They laid down their lives.
They had nothing else to offer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what our responsibility then is to take those rights that those people fought for and to assert those rights. And we have public institutions like the South African Human Rights Commission. We have public institutions like the Office of the Public Protector, the Auditor General. And the list continues of Chapter 9 and Chapter 10 institutions. As categorized in our Constitution, institutions that are specifically tasked to look after our rights. So whether they be gender rights, the Commission of Gender Equality, the South African Human Rights Commission that looks at all your Chapter 2, your Bill of Rights, and so forth and so forth. All of these institutions exist to be able to protect those. And, we're unaligned, we're neutral, we're independent bodies that are able to do that.
Just when you were saying that, I was just thinking that it's almost like because of our past and what it cost us to get here as a country, it's almost like we have a moral duty, almost as a generation or somehow, to actually just do it for those who could not. What do you think it will take for us to sort of like come to a consciousness of that?
I think it's definitely education, and that's something that obviously it's a mandate of the Commission to promote human rights, and what that means is through educational programs, and that's where the advocacy came in, and opportunities like these give people that opportunity as well to understand that, oh, there is a body out there where my rights, I can at least go find out whether this is an infringement of my rights and whether I can take the necessary action. So that's, those are some of the steps, those are the very first steps. And I think also, as I said, pick up a constitution, Chapter 2, Bill of Rights. You don't have to know the entire thing. The Constitution is a small booklet about this size, about this thick. You don't have to know the whole thing. You need to know one chapter. That chapter is what, where all your rights are outlined and categorized, and then you can take it forward from there.
All right. Okay, so you've got a big, long day ahead of you, so we're going to let you go so you can go, commemorate human rights with part of things that you're going to be part of today. So
there's a couple of things. As you know, we will be in Sharpeville, along with various other organizations, government institutions and communities, the Office of the Presidency, Department of Arts and Culture, commemorating the day there in an exhibition. And if I'm not mistaken, our chairperson will be there, Advocate Bongani Majola. He'll be giving an address there as well. Apart from that, we're also having a bit of fun. So SARU endorsed this, the South African Rugby Union, which is awesome, along with the support and the assistance of NANDRI, which is the network of